You're currently on the productive side of YouTube. This is an opportunity to learn great things while exercising your attention span. Good luck. When I was younger, I used to get conjunctivitis, and conjunctivitis is basically inflammation of the eye. Usually, it's harmless. You don't do anything about it, it doesn't need any medication. But my father, due to doctors speaking too much, was convinced that you needed to put some sort of white cream thingy in the eye, which is toxic, but we'll get to that later. And I usually resisted that thing. So whenever he tried to put the thing in my eye, I did this. Because, you know, it's scary. Something is going in directly in your eye, and humans don't like that. So I told him that, okay, I'm gonna do this myself instead, because it's easier if I'm doing it myself, because I know when I'm gonna drop the thing in my eye. Because we used to sit there for 1 hour straight, and he tried to put the thing in my eye and he couldn't. So I had an idea. Instead of him putting in the drop in my eye, I would do it myself. So I told him, okay, I want to do it myself. So I took the thing upstairs, went to the mirror, and I said like this, okay, now I'm gonna do it. And I did, but I put too much, okay? And I said, oh, okay, that's fine. I mean, more is better, usually. And I have to understand something. When I used to get conjunctivitis, a bunch of stuff would come out of my eye, and you would notice it in the morning. So sometimes my eyelid was shut, you know, where it meets over here, and my eyelashes were filled with a bunch of debris. So the next morning, after putting that thing in my eye, I got a lot of debris. A lot more than usual. Like my eye had thrown out everything. Why? Because conjunctivitis is a detoxification of and through the eye, and the thing that I put in my eye was the thing getting detoxified. I just added more pollution to be detoxified, and this is the nature of detoxification. You have to understand that your body will use anything it can to detoxify, okay? So if you shit, your body will throw out pollution from there. If you piss, your body will throw out pollution with the piss. The piss itself is not bad in that sense, like we've been taught. Earwax, same thing. Your hair that grows, same thing. The fat in your scalp, same thing. Your nose, the snot, the boogers, same thing. The stuff that comes out of your eye, same thing. Even saliva contains pollution. Before we start talking about the things you can start doing today about detoxification, the dietary changes, the practices, we have to address something, and that is colds and flus and generally things that might seem stupid but aren't, okay? So when you think of a cold, you think that a little teeny tiny bacteria came in and then divided, and now your body has to fight it. You have to understand, your body is fully capable of killing stuff. Okay, it has no problem. Bacteria can't grow inside of this thing unless it's dead tissue. It can't. You have your own microbiome. Think about it. If bacteria can't grow in raw milk outside of the native bacteria that is in raw milk, and trust me, you can try. Go and buy raw milk, leave it outside for a year, and nothing will grow in it. So if bacteria can't grow inside of raw milk, how the hell will it grow inside a human body that is so much more diverse when it comes to its bacterial flora? Aha! Maybe a flu or a cold has nothing to do with invasive stuff. Maybe it's all about the bacteria cleaning you up. Okay, so in the words of Ogenus Wonderplanets, if you look at what happens in a cold, usually things get out of your body. So you might have diarrhea, you might have a lot of snot, you might sweat a lot. Things are happening, okay? Things are happening and you get really tired. So your body doesn't want you to move. It says rest, and we're going to clear a bunch of stuff out. And this is the end point of detoxification. That's when you get the cold or the flu. So when your body is ready to empty a bunch of shit out and it wants you to chill, it makes you sick. It says, okay, chill, we have a bunch of shit to empty, just stay in your bed and don't do anything vigorous. Okay, but what's the overall message here? The overall message here for this part of the video is that when you have diarrhea, when you vomit, when you have a headache, when you have a flu, when you have a cold, I don't care what it is, your body is deliberately doing something for your sake. Okay, do you understand that? Your body is doing something important. So these people who take cold showers, these people who say, oh, I don't get sick anymore because I take cold showers every day, that is stupid. That is stupid. Again, a cold shower is just a shock to the system. Your body thinks that it's in a survival situation, so it alters a bunch of stuff. That's all that's happening. And if you don't get sick because of that, well, then something's wrong. Okay? Because, as we've said, a cold is a detoxification. Whenever you get a flu, whenever you get a cold, whenever you get diarrhea, you should be happy. Okay, but why? Why does the body do all of this? Well, because we've got a bunch of pollution everywhere, and it's inside of you right now. And your body recognizes that this thing inside of the bone shouldn't be here. So when I get the necessary nutrients, I will make sure that this thing goes out of the body. And that's why it does detoxification automatically. Again, we're gonna get into that, but essentially, your body does detoxification by itself. You don't really have to do anything other than supply it the stuff that it needs. And you can also manipulate the environment in certain ways, but that's not the primary thing. Now, we've touched a little bit on this so far, but how does the body detoxify stuff? Well, let us understand what the currency of our body is. What's the currency in our bodies? What does the body use? It can break itself down, yes, and we can use that as an example for energy. If you break down fat, you can get energy from that fat, but nothing really happened. You broke something down and then you got energy from it, so nothing really happened. The currency is nutrients, right? Because that's what your body gets. You eat a meal, and now your body has to decide what it wants to do with this meal. And a certain percentage of those nutrients will go toward creating stuff for the purpose of detoxification. So as an example, if you have some form of heavy metal, and then you've got some mineral that easily binds to this, needs to bind to this heavy metal, and then it's encapsulated by some fat thing, and then that's transported in the bloodstream or the lymphatic system to your skin and then out of the skin. If that happens, obviously all of those steps require nutrients, right? The most important nutrient when it comes to detoxification is fat. Why? Because fat binds to toxins. How do I know this? Well, if you look at where pollution is stored in the body, it's going to be stored in the fat, in the subcutaneous fat. But what if there isn't any room in the subcutaneous fat, or if you're a skinny person, what happens? Well, the pollution goes to the fatty parts of your body, so your bone marrow, your brain, your liver, and your other organs. Now we're going to make a smooth transition into the practical stuff, okay? Because if you look at your body and where it can store stuff, it can store stuff in many places, right? But let's say that you've got subcutaneous fat and you've got the brain. Now, which one is more important to your body? Well, obviously the brain. So if it can choose between putting pollution in the subcutaneous fat or putting it in the brain, where will it put it? In the subcutaneous fat. Now, if you don't have enough fat, what will it do? Well, it has no choice, so it automatically goes to the brain, doesn't it? By the way, this video is sponsored by absolutely fucking nobody, but I'd like to divert your attention to something, and that is, have you ever changed something about your health and then said, oh, well, it was good that I did that because now I feel much better? Well, there are people that do that with their diet, but they don't do that with the rest of their life. And they don't really understand health on a deep level, so they can't see all the parts of health. They can't think in the correct ways. They can't see everything. They don't have the fundamental building blocks that actually control health, the underlying principles that must govern all of health. And I mean, if you understand those, then every single thing that you do will become easy. You'll know what is healthy and what isn't healthy. And the only book I know of that can teach you that thing that exists is the 6 Health Commandments. So, if you're interested, you can check it out. There is a bunch of stuff on this channel about it, and you're interested, you can get it, and there's a way of getting it for free, and that video is over here. In the last video I talked about how bodybuilding is a bad thing because you're just putting on muscle and nothing's really happening, and it's not related to health, and it's just related to your self-image. But I never talked badly about gaining weight. You see, if you gain weight by eating a bunch of high quality foods, especially raw animal foods, because generally those are the ones that are going to put on a bunch of tissue on your body, well, then you're going to have more subcutaneous fat. So then when you have to deal with pollution, well, what's going to happen? Well, it's going to go to the subcutaneous fat. You're going to have more storage for pollution, and you're going to need that because literally everything you acquire these days from a food perspective is going to have some pollution in it, because, well, the food chain for modern human beings is F'd in the A. Therefore, I recommend that you gain weight. Gaining weight is never a bad thing, especially if you're young, because then you can deal with a bunch of pollution. Now, is there something else we can do here? Because fat is the main word. And so you might be thinking, well, what if I eat a bunch of raw fat every day? Won't that help? Well, of course it will. Of course it will. Because you see, the fat that is in your cells works a certain way, right? But it can't be very far off from the dietary fat that you eat. Because as an example, how different are beef fat, raw beef fat, and the fat that is, you know, on your stomach right now? Well, not really that different. They're both fat cells. One belongs to a cow, one belongs to a human, but they're not very, very different. So if you eat butter or raw beef fat or bone marrow that isn't polluted or any type of high quality raw fat, well, the chemistry isn't different there. It's still going to bind to toxins. Your body is going to utilize it in that way, at least a percentage of it. And so Ogenus used to recommend that you eat like 250 grams of butter every day. And there's nothing wrong with that. I used to do that and I felt amazing. Thing is, it's too expensive for me right now. But if I could, I would take raw butter and I would eat 250 grams of it. Because when I do that, that's the only time where I don't get dry lips, even during the winter. That's the only time where I feel like every part of my body is fully moisturized without even having to put anything on my skin. Oh, and in this case, just to put it out there, that means that my body is prioritizing something over the skin. Okay, so the bulk of it is eat a bunch of raw fat and gain a little bit of weight, and that will protect you very well. But are there other things you can do to speed up the process? Well, of course there is. Now, I would recommend baths, okay? So if you fill up your bathtub or anything really that you can put water in that isn't toxic with hot water, not too hot, you know, something that's as warm as possible but still very comfortable enough for you to sit for like 40 minutes, and you put some apple cider vinegar in there and maybe some pink Himalayan salt or sea salt, some natural salt. You put that in there and then you sit there for 40 minutes. What's going to happen is that the increased heat will sort of help your lymphatic system throw out a bunch of stuff through the skin, because you're gonna sweat in the water. It's going to be hot. So that's a very, very good way of throwing a bunch of stuff out through the skin. And the reason I recommend water instead of a sauna is because, well, that water is circulating. So if you sweat, that water will go out and it won't really be reabsorbed. If you're in the sauna, what happens is the sweat stays on you. So if you're going to go to the sauna, what you do is you go out every time you feel a bit sweaty and you wash that sweat off with hopefully water that isn't toxic. And then you go back and then you sweat a bit and then you wash it off, because otherwise it might get reabsorbed. At least that's what Ogenus said. Other than that, there are a few simple things that are very overlooked but are very integral to detoxification. First of all, you need to get enough movement, because movement is what determines your lymphatic system's ability to move. Okay, muscle contractions and G-forces, that's what moves your lymphatic system, and you detoxify a lot through your lymphatic system. Lastly, I'd say make sure you get enough sunlight and make sure you don't get stressed. So the sunlight will give you vitamin D, among other things really. And vitamin D is required for proper mineral utilization. And again, not only that, there are many things that are involved with many things in your body. So if one thing is gone, then a bunch of other things will be gone. So if you want maximum efficient detoxification, you will of course need good vitamin D levels. And when it comes to stress, I mean, look, if you're stressed, your body will need to use nutrients to repair whatever damage was caused by the stress. Adrenaline, as an example, or cortisol isn't free. If your body produces more of it, well, it is producing it from something, from nutrients, and those nutrients can always be used for something productive if you're not stressed. So remember, you're dealing with currency here. You have to be as efficient as possible, and if you're stressed all the time, well, then you're going to create damage. I have a question for you. Do you think that this video was good? Would you be happy if more of humanity watched it? Well, see, the thing is, if you click the like button and if you subscribe or you share the video, or if the link exists somewhere else on the internet, that means that YouTube is going to recommend this video to more people, and that might lead them to this channel, and they might start their health journey from there. Who knows? You might make a big difference in someone's life. So, if it's okay with you, and if you actually like the video, then just click one button, that's it, just click it. Nothing, you don't have to do anything else, it doesn't take a lot of time, and you'll be helping me out a lot, and a bunch of other people, of course. With that said, go and achieve excellent health. I know you can do it. And remember, I'm very happy for you. I'm very happy that instead of watching Mr. Beast or unproductive things on YouTube, you're actually taking the time to watch a very clean, unedited video about health that's going to benefit you. So you're doing something very productive, and I'm very happy for you, and I'm very happy that you're here and that you're a part of the community. Have a good day.